social justice, life, and anything that goes along with it. He's got a book in the back. You can get it after the show or whenever. It's $20 for the book and the painting that Eric's going to be painting today. Eric speaks at 1 o'clock on the Hub, but he has a great outlook on social justice, where it begins for a human, as a person in the world, and how you should get involved. So, without further ado, Bryan Kemper.
Yeah. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys coming out. I was freaked out. Like, my favorite band at all of Lifest is actually sitting in the audience right now, Ilya. Like, wow, I'm honored that they came to my talk. So make sure you check out their booth for the artist merchandise. These girls are some of the most amazing girls you'll ever meet in your life. Anyway, usually when I give my talk, if anyone's been to one of my talks before, something that I promised with God years and years ago was to always make Him first and what He's done in my life first. And I always give my testimony about how I came to Christ. And I'm not going to really do that today completely. I'll tell you a little bit about myself, but I haven't always been this fine, upstanding citizen that you see before you right now. I had a rough childhood. I was born with spinal meningitis. I was clinically dead as an infant, brought back to life. They told my parents I was going to be severely retarded or a vegetable for the rest of my life. I was in the Special Olympics as a little kid. I was a drug addict and involved in Satanism, and I gave my life to Christ at age 20 and have been living for Him ever since. And that's a very abbreviated version. But the reason I wasn't going to share my whole testimony is I almost didn't make it today to this stage. I was here at the festival on Thursday, and I was calling my publisher and saying we need to get an ad for my book for Purple Door Festival coming up, and they're going to put an ad in the program. And so I said, can you ask Brandon, who's my layout designer and the creative officer for my publishing company, like, I need Brandon to put together this ad for me. And she's like, yeah, well, I'm meeting with Brandon in a few minutes. We'll talk about the ad. And about 3 hours later, I got a phone call about an Amber Alert that had gone out in my town in Ohio, Troy, Ohio. And a little 7-year-old boy named Zane, who was kidnapped. My wife had put this on her Facebook, and my publisher called and said, Bryan, did you see this Amber Alert? And I said, yeah. She goes, that's Brandon's little brother. And she said, Bryan, Brandon's dad came to kidnap this little boy. And he shot Brandon and killed him. The guy I had just talked about a few minutes ago to do my ad was shot and killed down the street from my home. And I just kind of freaked out a little bit. The thing is what Brandon was doing that day, Brandon's parents had just separated recently. And Brandon moved in with his mother to help take care of little Zane. Left his own house to move back in with his mom at age 22 to protect his little brother because there was some problems there. And when the stepdad walked in the house, Brandon tried to save his little brother from being kidnapped. And he was shot and killed. And I went home, I went back to where we're staying that night. And that morning and that night I was praying about, God, what can you show me in this? How can I find you in this tragedy, in this horrible situation? And right later on that night, praise God, they found the little boy alive in Indiana. He was safe. The dad was still on the loose. And then last night, they caught the dad. And so the little boy and the mom are now safe. Something that God showed me 2 years ago, a little bit, when I was here, or 3 years ago, when the tragedy of Liz falling out of that ride and dying here at Lifest. It's the same thing God showed me with Brandon, is that none of us are promised tomorrow. None of us are promised tomorrow. We all woke up today with one more day to serve God. One more day to live our lives for Christ and to love our neighbor as ourselves. Brandon spent the last moment of his life defending his little brother and gave his life for this little 7-year-old boy. He lived for someone else. And really, the whole issue about social justice and pro-life and human trafficking and poverty and thirst is about living our lives to serve someone else. About living our lives for those who are in danger. For those who need. Brandon was one of the most beautiful, sweet men. He was actually somebody that a lot of people had a hard time with because he questioned Christianity sometimes. Not question as in, is it right? But question where he fit in the church. Brandon voted for Obama. And people used to hound on him because he voted for Obama. Almost like you can't be a Christian if you voted for Obama. Brandon did a lot of things that the typical evangelical perfect Christian family would say, that's not okay. Brandon liked to go have a Guinness at the pub. Oh my gosh. And he got judged a lot. But then Brandon showed us an example of giving our lives for someone else. And I think Brandon is a beautiful Christian man. And I can't wait till I can see him again and give him a big hug. And tell him how much I miss him already. So when you woke up today, I don't know what the first thought out of your mind was. I don't know if it was, oh man, I need to brush my teeth. I need to go to the bathroom. You know, there's a lot of first thoughts when you wake up. But what I want to challenge you today is that tomorrow morning, when you wake up, to immediately say, God, thank you for one more day. Thank you for one more day to love you with all my heart and all my soul and all my mind, and to love my neighbor as myself. And that really is what the pro-life message is. It's about loving our neighbor as ourselves, our fellow human person.